Max, a teenage boy, tells the psychologist that he wishes he could just be normal, but that's not possible. His entire face is wrapped in bandages because he was born with a face that is so amazingly beautiful that if anyone looks at it, they immediately die. Max tells his birth story, saying that he killed the hospital's doctors and nurses when they saw his face, but luckily, his parents are immune to their child. According to the studies made that day, his face is so gorgeous that it instantly ends a person's life by causing a spike in hormones. Because of this, they decide to move to a small town and take all necessary precautions, such as keeping Max homeschooled to protect other children. However, as a result, Max grew up extremely isolated and alone, and he also finds it difficult to socialize. He also has an unusual hobby. He loves doing embroidery. The psychologist doesn't believe in his story and insists on showing his face. All of a sudden, Max's parents notice a strange noise coming from the psychologist's office. When they go inside, they find the psychologist dead on the floor and Max putting on his bandages again. The police soon arrive and say that they can't ignore these deaths considering the incidents, so Max needs to take more precautions to avoid going to jail. While the adults are busy talking, Max finds a brick and takes it home. Later, his parents tell him that they don't like him spending the entire day at home, so they ask his only friend Dan to sign him up on a dating app, which irritates Max. Later, in his room, Max requests Dan strike him with the brick so he doesn't look so stunningly beautiful anymore. When Max gets so irritated by his phone and the notifications from the dating app, he throws his phone on the floor and Dan hits his face as Max wanted. Max and his mother go to the hospital. In the waiting room, Max's mom reads in a magazine that the organization is searching for families to host exchange students. This could be an opportunity to invite another kid to the house so Max can have a friend. Max gets irritated by this idea and goes to get another magazine but finds the rack empty. A girl named Alex has the last magazine. She shares it with Max. Both of them talk for a while before the doctor calls Max. Later on, Dan decides to set up a blind date for Max to make him feel happy. They first meet the girl at the restaurant. Dan starts a conversation with the girl to help make Max more comfortable, but as soon as he walks out, things get really awkward. The girl seems afraid of Max, so he gifts her a handkerchief that has her name stitched on it. Things are getting better when, all of a sudden, they hear noises alerting them that Craig is creating trouble at the restaurant. Suddenly, the guy walks up to their table and starts flirting with the girl. But when he notices Max's bandages, he remembers him as the guy from the Deadly Stories. The guy is so rude and scary, so Max wants to leave to avoid any trouble, but as he gets up, he knocks on their drinks accidentally. Craig tosses the handkerchief into the liquid to make fun of him and pressurizes him to show his face. He even pushes him up against the table. Fortunately, the restaurant staff took the opportunity to finally throw Craig out. Max invites her to go on another date, but now she is scared of his face and she simply refuses him. After such a terrible date, he feels that he can never have a normal life, so he walks to the nearest bridge to take his life. All of a sudden, Alex appears and makes fun of what he's doing. This starts a discussion about his life, candy, and his wish to swim in a tub of jelly beans. Just to distract Max, Alex asks him to go with her. They take a bus to a retirement home where he meets Rosemary and Esther, two old women with serious illnesses. However, they are still very active. All four of them spend a great afternoon together. While sharing tea and snacks, they get to know that Esther is trying to write one more book before she dies, but her Alzheimer's is making it difficult. Alex walks him home, and when Max asks whether they may see each other again, Alex just says no. Later, Max and Dan hang out when Dan encourages Max to keep trying. Since he doesn't know Alex's surname, he can't search for her on social media. Dan thinks he should hang around the spots where he saw her at and try to bump into her. That night, Max creates an embroidery work, remembering the bridge moment. The next morning, Max goes back to the bus stop and he sees that Alex intentionally missed her ride. Firstly, she feels a little hesitant about him, then she decides to enjoy being with him. They go to the supermarket and buy a lot of jelly beans to finally fulfill Max's dream by filling Max's bathroom tub. Alex tells him that she wishes to swim in a river of jello. While they enjoy the sugar bath, Max finally tells her about his deadly face, but she says that she already knew he was the guy from the stories anyway. Alex explains to him about her rare cardiovascular condition. She is allergic to endorphins. Excitement causes inflammation, and that causes her heart to grow. Then, Alex reveals that she has to wear a heart-size monitor under her jacket all the time, explaining her body rejects emotions. She's also currently on an experimental medication to treat it. After hearing all this, Max feels that he has finally found someone who can understand him and his situation. After, they watch a movie, giggle at every detail, and get drunk during it. After that, they go to Max's house, where Alex admires his embroidery and asks him to make her embroidery someday. Suddenly, Alex starts coming close to Max and removes his sunglasses, scaring him for a moment. Thankfully, his eyes are not enough to kill people. Both of them them share a sweet moment and are about to kiss. Sadly, Max's parents show up and ruin their moment. They quickly break apart. The parents are shocked to see them and know what is happening. Max's mother then hugs Alex because she is so happy that Max has finally met a girl. The parents then introduced Yushen, an exchange student who will be living with them from now on. She also has a cat with her. However, she ignores the family quite often as she is antisocial. She orders her own food for dinner so that she can eat alone. After that, Max and Alex start spending all of their time together. They frequently go to Rosemary and Esther's retirement home to play games or have tea. One day, the teens plan to go on a camping trip, and Max gets into an argument with his parents, who force him to take Yushen along. The next day, the group leaves for the forest with Max, Alex, Yushen, Dan, and his most recent date. Yushen ignores them as usual, while the others enjoy themselves a lot, exploring and snapping photos. Alex accidentally hurts her hand with a branch, and Max cuts some bandages off his face to cover the wound, which causes Alex's heart to beat a little faster. Later in the evening, they make up a camp, while Dan and his girl hide under a blanket for some privacy and Yushen sleeps. Max follows Dan's idea and covers Alex and himself with a blanket before they prepare for a surprise. He asks her to close her eyes and then covers them with a bandage. Then he holds her hands and lets her touch his face so that she feels what he looks like. Max admits that he killed a girl who kissed him for the first time because she opened her eyes. A few days later, Alex calls Max and tells him that her mother needs her help with some home chores, so they can't meet today. Later, Max's mother tells him to remove their old Christmas tree, so Dan helps Max take it out. Meanwhile, Yushen is smoking, and when she throws her cigarette, she unintentionally sets the tree on fire. Dan tries to put it off and accidentally burns his hands. Max and Dan rush to the hospital. After Dan gets his hands treated, they try to leave, but they run across Alex and her mother. Alex has been here all day, and it turns out that she lied. When the boys try to introduce themselves, Alex tells her mother that they are just co-workers from the retirement home, and they walk out without saying anything more. The next day, Max and his father go shopping. Max wonders how he can tell if he's in love. The father says that he already knows that he likes Alex, so he should tell Alex straight out. In the afternoon, when Alex and Max get together again, Alex tells him that she had to lie yesterday because her mother doesn't want her to make friends, as she believes that too much excitement may kill her. She only allows her for retirement home, as it's a boring place. Later, when they go to the retirement home, they are shocked to see that Rosemary is dying. When they go to her room, they find that machines are keeping her alive. Max feels sad because he believes that people deserve to die with dignity. Alex insists Max reveal his face to Rosemary so that she can die peacefully, and when he refuses, she leaves him alone. Max rethinks and realizes Rosemary's pain. He goes back to the room and calls Rosemary's name. As soon as she opens her eyes, Max removes his bandages. Rosemary realizes what's happening, and she dies with a gentle smile on her face. After this incident, Alex stops responding to Max's messages, and he is unsure about what to do. His parents try to give him advice, but he gets into an argument and leaves to hang out with Dan. His friend tells him about a party at the local school. Dan says Max should attend, even though he is homeschooled. Max is too hesitant to do anything, so Dan takes his phone and texts Alex to invite her to the dance. When he doesn't get a response, Max visits Alex at her house to find out why she is ignoring him. Alex reveals that the experimental medication isn't helping, and her heart is growing bigger and bigger. They argue about why she is pushing him away, but Max continues to be supportive. Alex finally agrees to go to the dance with him. On party day, Alex comes up with two funny costumes that she bought from an adult store. She is going to be a maid, and she gets a dog mask and a horn so that Max can dress up as a horned dog. They arrive at the school and enjoy dancing and flirting with each other. At first, the music is fast and catchy, but after it turns to a slow romantic tune, it brings them closer. This exciting moment causes her heart to beat super fast and her nose to start bleeding, so she goes out to take care of it. While Max is waiting, he spends his time hanging out with Dan and his date, but suddenly Craig shows up. He gets jealous that Dan is dating his ex and wants to take revenge for what happened at the restaurant. While his friends hold Dan, Craig holds Max and removes his mask, killing Dan's date right away. People start screaming, and soon the police arrive to arrest Max, covering his head with a bag. As Max is leaving, he notices that an ambulance is taking Alex away. Max is kept in a cell that night. The next morning, when Max is free, he goes to the hospital, where Alex's mother hugs him to express her pain. When Max sees Alex, he finds out that she had been lying the entire time. She had been ignoring her illness. It is revealed that she has a severe illness, and she knew since childhood that she would die at this age. Now she has only a few days left and doesn't like to be connected to a machine, so she requests Max to show his face. Max shouts at her, telling her that he has seen people die his entire life and that it has deeply affected him. He refuses because he doesn't want to see her die. He then walks away, saying he can't listen to her anymore. Max comes home and becomes so upset that he takes a brick to ruin his face. His parents quickly show up to stop him. They hold him while he has a breakdown, but the bandages fall off and he unintentionally kills Yu Shen's cat. Over the next few days, Max ignores all messages from Alex. Later, Max comes to console Dan for his dead girl. Though Dan is in grief, he still scolds Max for ignoring Alex and makes him realize that he will miss the chance to say goodbye. The following day, Max goes to see Alex at the hospital, and to apologize, he starts covering the walls with his embroidery. He also shows that he made a design for her as well. Alex's condition gets worse. Max lies down beside her and takes off his bandages. Then they close their eyes and kiss, waiting for the worst to happen. As Alex opens his eyes, he is shocked to see that Alex is still alive. But Alex gets so happy to see the real face of Max that her heart can't handle it, and she dies anyway. At least her face is smiling as she thinks back on all the time she spent with Max. Later, he attends Alex's funeral and feels extremely sad by the loss of the one girl who has ever shown care for him. After that, he goes to the bridge, taking an envelope with Alex's name on it. He puts Jello powder inside the envelope and throws it into the river, making Alex's dream come true. After her death, Max resumes his therapy and starts honoring the things Alex taught him. In order to give company to Esther, he keeps going to the retirement home. The police cleared him and Craig of all charges, since they believe the girl's death was caused naturally. As this case becomes famous, Max starts receiving a lot of mails from severely ill people asking for his help. Max starts realizing that sometimes dying is good, and he starts going to see the people who write him to help them find peace through a painless end of life. Max also realizes that Alex didn't die because true love gave her immunity, which is also the reason his parents never died. Since Dan is his only true friend, Max starts hanging out with Dan without wearing bandages. But he must be careful, as one day he forgets to cover his face and unintentionally kills Craig, and the movie ends. Subscribe to watch more movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.